And we're live. Hello there, everybody, and welcome to the Abyss. Today we'll be playing some more Overwatch. However, I'm still booting some things up, so I'm going to turn the music back on up, and I hope you enjoy your stuff. I'm also not going to be playing immediately. I'm not going to play many games today. Today I'm just going to sit back and kind of look at the Overwatch 2 beta notes. I did not get a key. Unlucky, my dudes. But for the first, 30 minutes or so, I'm sort of, watching some people's ideas on, people who got the beta and their whole beta patch note, rigmarole, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to just kind of talk about that, talk about the new designs, kind of show some of those things, and just kind of show off Overwatch 2 a little bit before I get into some of the comp play. Yeah, we'll get right into it. But for now, please hold tight. All right. All right. Things are still kind of working. Things are kind of still not working. Kind of be how it is sometimes. I'm going to be a little bit more relaxed right now. I'm watching, actually right now I'm watching Flat's video on the changes. But in a second, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring over the patch notes. Actually, let me see if I can get the patch notes here. Nope. Can't see them. I can go visit the forums, but they don't have it here. Unlucky. I'm also just kind of waiting to see if maybe, just maybe, I get a key in the next, 30 minutes or so, but I doubt it. Nobody's gonna give me a key since I'm a no-name streamer. But I did see some of the patch notes, and I am quite excited about it. So I'm gonna bring those over right now. So here's the patch notes. Kinda nuts. Hold on. Let me see something. Hold on, let me try something. Blip. 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 Where is it? Wanna take a... Oh, I know what I wanted to. Like that. There we go. There we go. So the main thing is right now, as far as I'm understanding it, there's going to be multiple waves of like email beta keys that are going out, but it's not guaranteed. And they're sort of rolling it out in like a rolling wave kind of style where like maybe it's every hour, maybe it's every 30 minutes, maybe one is in 30 minutes, one is an hour, one is 2 hours after the previous one, then they do it a 15-minute wave. But essentially it's not all at once. And as time goes on, you have a greater chance of getting the key. So I'm kind of chilling just for a little bit and see if I can get it. Because if I do, then I'm going to play the hell out of that. But if I don't, then I'm just going to get into some comp games. Might as well at the end of the season. If I can get up to 2,800, then we'll be golden. But until then, let's go over these new changes. New game mode push. Now, this is actually going to be kind of interesting. Oh, my microphone. No. This is going to be an interesting game mode to kind of break down. Since it's gonna have a lot of angles, which is gonna make things different. So push new game mode available, brand new maps, Toronto and Rome. Gameplay unfolds to opposing team fight over control of a single shared objective. The Treadweather TS1 large utility robot. And it's interesting that they put the entire name. Probably gonna be something to do with the lore and maybe even something to do with the Overwatch 2 PvP or PvE stuff that comes out whenever they decide to drop it. So they each try to take control of Mr. TS1. So I'm probably just going to call him TS from now on. Or so maybe. TSO for TS1. Anyway. They basically keep pushing back and forth. So if it's contested, he doesn't move. If your team's the only one who has him, then you take it, but it does play a noise from what I've seen every time it transitions. So it's not that easy to kind of like C9 it. The game enters overtime if it's contested or if the people who are behind have control, and it goes down as the people who are in the lead take control with no opposition. So it'll be interesting. Assault maps being removed, thank God. That should have happened a long time ago, in my opinion. Or it should have been reworked, because I think that's exactly what they're doing. Due to one of these sentences, although assault maps are on rotation, we will still be available using customs, and we also look forward for future opportunities to bring them back into quick and competitive map rotations. So that means one of two things. Map rotations will bring back 2CP, but as it is, as we know and love it and hate it, or everything everybody's already been saying about 3CP, Marathon CP, and the number one issue with every single end of escort maps and assault maps and the normal issues that you rise with those kinds of maps are going to be addressed with removing the spawn doors from right outside the damn point. Like, that's the number one issue with any escort map trying to finish off and get that 3-point, whether it's Route 66 or it's Numbani or it's Dorado. All of them suck at the very last second because you've got to fend off all of the attacker or the defenders coming directly out of spawn on a 2-second cooldown. So even if you win a team fight, like you can't get half that point easily, because you can't lose a single one of your members, and they can lose half their damn team. And as long as they stagger it out, they'll still have the spawn advantage and will slowly trickle out over you. So this, to me, tells me they're addressing that major concern. That's the number one concern with the most maps. The second concern being the small amount of choke points. Like, that really is the other big thing with assault maps. So I'm interested to see how they do it. Not to mention with 5v5 how that will impact 2CP type maps. But we'll see. 5v5 is now another thing. Now I'm gonna see if I can't find a screenshot of this, because I did actually see this. Because after we talk about they remove it, it will rework for tanks, more powerful and fun to play, chances increase gameplay clarity, all hand results. Yeah, we all know about people's opinions on that thus far. But tab scoreboard. Let me show you what that looks like now. So this is from Flat's stream. Get his good face in there. Full disclosure, I am taking this from Flat's stream, or from his video, because he has just a great image of it. There he is. Look at that handsome man. So he's playing Cassidy, and there's a Reinhardt, right? And now you can see the eliminations, the assists, the deaths, and the amount of damage and the amount of healing they've done, which I think is perfect, only because even though you don't see some of the nuances like damage blocked, damage negated, damage space taken, I guess, amount of stuns, or like ultimate number of ultimates deleted, you don't see any of that here, which is part of what makes a tank great. But in reality, as we transition everybody to be a damage dealer, just that damage does more damage than everybody else, and then tanks deal a lot of damage but also provide crowd control, and then you make supports do a lot of damage but provide utility, that all that really matters is the amount of damage they do. So that's the king here, and honestly, it looks sleek, it looks sexy, it looks really, really good. So I'm excited to kind of get into that and actually see what that's all about. And how that actually plays into it, because it's also going to be a mentality thing, right? Because if you have a soldier and he's bronze damage, you're going to be quick to flame them, right? But in reality, if the soldier's doing what he needs to do and the tank's getting all the support and he's killing everything, right? Like, realistically, like, if any of the damage people don't have a medal, it means now a support has a damage medal. And as we move more towards supports dealing more damage, I can see how that's going to be tilting when it's like, why is my Lucio doing more damage than my Sombra? Why is my Lucio dealing more damage than my Symmetra? Like, come on, man. Yeah, of course they're going to do more damage. Like, like, those kinds of things are gonna be kind of wonky to deal with, especially in the lower rank you go. But we'll see how it works out. As they even claim, it's work in progress. Looking forward to hearing the community thinks about it and these updates. There's going to be negatives. I'm putting that out there. I'm not going to sugarcoat that, because that's just the truth. There's always going to be a negative to it, but you got to learn to like live with it and learn how to, balance yourself around it. And I think that's going to be key in terms of where we're going with the future of this game. So now the update that we all kind of knew about was the sound. There's an entire video about how they did the sound upgrades. It's a really good video. I recommend you go watch it. The things that there's kind of more detail, we have convolution reverb for more realism, 3D reverb, weapon and explosion tails, debris updates. So there's going to be a lot more visual when you actually hit something that's, I guess, like a wall or something like that. Whiz by updates, new bullet pass by audio. So that's just a oh, that's for when a shot misses you, like when a widow misses you just barely, and you're the meow noise. Okay. I mean, that'd be kind of cool. Speed of sound adjustments for very long range impacts. Again, I think it's just more going closer to that realism, and I think it's just you're gonna have that more of that whump when you fire things, and it's gonna feel a lot better to play, even if you're not dealing as much damage. Is the best way I'm gonna put it. UI sound updates. Added a kill stinger sound for final blows and added a teammate down sound. I think this will be okay as long as they give you the option to turn it down. Because from what I heard, holy crap is it loud. It's like Uprising loud, whop whop noises. And it's just like, I don't need to know that somebody died when I'm trying to listen for footsteps. Like, I can see that in the top right. So, the gets hits perform a consistency pass across all damage sounds, and added different impact sounds for different types of health. Okay, that's interesting. So now you can hear if you're hitting shields, armor, or regular health, or over health. Home theater mix. Okay, interesting. Sound options. Teammate and enemy eliminated optional sounds. Okay. New settings. Turn a teammate or enemy are eliminated. Okay, so yeah, there you go. I think that'll be fine then. Audio mix options, add audio mix options, common settings, okay. Unit impacts. When you now correlate with the type of health pool you are impacting. When your armor impacts when you hit Reinhardt's armor, and then it'll switch to flesh when it's hitting past his armor. True for all heroes, regardless of what material they're made of. Now, the ping system. This is going to be something that's going to revolutionize the style of gameplay, because now Sombra can stealth behind the enemy team and ping people while keeping them in her own LOS, so that the Genji Winston can dive in. So this is going to revolutionize how things are kind of done. Additionally, it'll allow like Mercy to ping a flanker that they see, or they'll allow you to ping somebody who's going right side, so that way everybody can see that there was somebody walking to the right. There are also text-to-speech placeholders for some pings while we are finished recording process. Okay. Localization is only partially complete for a few languages. Enemy hero ping icons or temporary artwork. Okay. All right. So basically saying we're not done yet, but this is what we have for now, and please deal with it because it's a beta. All right. Cool. I'll take it. You know what? You're not gonna hear me complain about that. I'd rather have that than another 3 months of waiting for this game to come out. So. Control, Ilios, Lijiang, Oasis all have new lighting. There's an evening, a dawn, and a night, respectively. Escort, there's now Circuit Royale. Stunning future playground for the Mega Rich. Overwatch is brand new. What is happening? Oh, okay, my audio was freaking out there. Okay, so... Luxurious Monte Carlo towards Majestic Hotel Arch. Okay. I'm probably butchering that, but whatever. Dorado and R66 get new lighting. That's kind of cool. Hybrid Midtown. That's one thing I will say about, like, I heard from Flats' stream that they changed a lot of the lighting and it made it a lot less oppressive. Like on Gibraltar, you don't have to stare into the sun in order to try to kill somebody when you're defending first point anymore. You can have the evening or the nighttime skybox or the daytime skybox. I forget which one it is. That's going to make it a lot easier just to see things. Midtown, New York. We've seen a lot of that kind of gameplay from various streamers. It looks kind of awesome. Looks like there's going to be a lot of flanking routes and a lot of hidey holes. So we'll see kind of how that goes. And that honestly doesn't mean necessarily that Tracer and Genji are going to be like kings, because there's going to be a lot of new heroes that could deal with them more consistently in terms of they have their own mobility. So we'll see. Kings Row new lighting, I can ball new white lighting, new Queen Street, okay, and Colosseo is from Rome, okay, and then Deathmatch, Kienzaka and Malvento are 2 new maps, I guess. Awesome. Now we get into the real meat of what the new stuff is that is coming in the beta, and that is the role passives. So now tanks, all of them get 30% knockback resistance. They generate ult charge less by 30% from damage taken and healing taken. So they give less ult charge to their healers? I suppose that's a really good way of balancing that, now that I think about it. So basically, they just feel tankier overall, right? Like, they take less, they give less and they take less, right? They give less in both senses, which that to me is a great philosophy to have. If you give less to the enemy, you should give less to your team. If you give more to your enemy, you give more to your team. Risk reward. I like that. I really like that. Damage, 10% faster movement. As I said before, like, damage being faster means a whole new can of worms for supports in my mind. And supports, 15 health? Okay, so you just basically full heal after like 3 seconds or so, or not at full heal, but like you can, if you take chip damage, you don't have to waste your cooldowns on it. So you after 1 second without being any damage, 15 health per second, so 8 seconds you're back to full HP if you're a 200 HP target. Right? No, I'm dumb. 30, that's 30 per 2 seconds, 60 per 4, 120 per 8, 180 per 12. 195 per 13. So yeah, it takes like 13 seconds maximum, because if you have less than 5 HP, like, something is wrong. But that's 13 seconds is a long time, but it's enough to where if you've taken like half damage, or you've taken a body shot from, like, I don't know, Hanzo or Widow, that's like 8 seconds of full healing without using your own abilities. But if you've taken, anything less than that, like, I don't know, you've taken some chip damage from Soldier, or you've taken a body shot from Kree, that's like 4 seconds out of the fight of just being out of LOS and not taking damage to almost fully heal yourself. So, interesting. Temporary shields and armor health pools have been combined into overhealth with no special attributes. That means ult charge is going to be granted off of it, I think. Overhealth no longer provides ult charge. Never mind. Fuck me. Oh, well, that's a huge buff to Lucio Beat, I think. Because I'm pretty sure on live right now, Lucio Beat provides ult charge. Not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So, yeah, that's gonna be pretty good. That means any ability that gives you extra overhealth is gonna just be free HP. So that's kind of cool. Base armor health pools reducing. That's huge. Base armor no longer mitigates damage by a previous flat amount of -5 damage per hit. They made it so simple now. That makes it so much easier to understand. And this right here is gonna make heroes like Soldier, Tracer, Reaper a lot stronger, because the damage breakpoints are gonna completely flip on their heads. I think anyway, because what it used to be was every single pellet that hit the enemy had a -5 down to -3. I think it was, where it was like it's half off until you hit 5 damage off, and then it's just a straight -5. So if you do a lot of burst damage, like a Widowmaker, you do 120 damage as Widowmaker, -5. If you get a headshot, that's what was it? It was 120 times 2.5, which gave you 300 damage. -5 puts you down to, 295 on a headshot. Now that'll do a straight 30%. That's insane how much of an actual nerf that is. That means that Reinhardt can actually tank some shots. He can probably take 2 headshots from fully charged Widowmaker shot and survive. That's a huge change. But it also means that Tracer, who was previously going to do absolutely nothing to any armor targets, and Reaper, who was, able to do some stuff but was severely limited by the armor, Reaper's going to shred tanks now. And, well, at least he's going to shred armor. So any armored tank is gonna feel the pain coming from Reaper. And Tracer's going to be able to generate a lot of ult charge off of tanks now, simply because she's able to do more, which is going to empower non-armored tanks, which is going to be like Zarya, Roadhog, and Sigma, maybe? That's gonna help Sigma quite a bit, I think, in terms of the amount of damage. So that's huge. That is huge. Armor damage reduction now applies equally to all sources, including damage over time effects and beams. So that means that TNT burning, when it does damage to you, as long as it's still hitting armor, it's going to apply that 30% every tick. Which means that it's going to be really strong against... I think it's just going to be equally strong against anything that ticks. And I think it's going to be weaker to... It's just going to be weaker to pellets. A lot of pellets, like shotguns. Which means that Roadhog's also going to be really good at destroying armor-based heroes. So that'll be interesting. Phase effect changes. Phase effects no longer clear the Zarya Graviton Surge or Sigma Graviton Flex movement restrictions. So Reaper can still Wraith form while in Graviton Surge to prevent damage, but can't walk out of it anymore. May's Cryo Freeze no longer removes Sigma's Gratific Flux, and Summer Hack effect is now removed by phase effects. So it's considered, so phase effects, they're defining phase effects now as a movement ability that cleanses. That is what they're saying. So hack can now be cleansed is essentially what their another wording of this is. They're now able to cleanse hack, and they are able to move freely, but because it's considered a movement ability or a special type of movement, it will still lock the movement out from you. You can use the ability still, but you can only use it to clear yourself of debuffs. So phase effects will clear you of debuffs and make you move faster, probably, which the movement part of the phase gets sealed. Okay, that's an interesting dynamic where half of the phase effects get affected while the other half doesn't. I think time will tell to see kind of how confusing that can get. I think with more heroes, it's going to get really confusing, but for now, I think it works, so we'll run with it. So now we get into the actual hero changes. So the first big one is Doomfist. Move from damage to tank. Yeah, we all know that. Base health increase from 250 to 450. Removed Rising Uppercut. Good. All right. Damage is reduced, which is what we expected. 6 to 5. Ammo regeneration increased, so he gets his primary fire faster. Impact damage reduced from 50 to 100 to 15 to 30. And wall slam from 50 to 150 down to 2 to 40. And maximum charge reduced from 1.4 to 1. Now this is these three I'm 100% agree with, because it's completely in line with what I've been saying for a while. Which is make him be able to use his abilities more often and he'll be more fun. And make it so he doesn't one-shot people and it'd be more fun to play against. It's that simple. Give him more charges of his right click. Give him the ability to fly around the map. But don't make it so he can fly around the map and kill people instantly. So I think these are all, and on top of that, making him a tank. This is the type of thing we needed a long time ago. But when we came out, I think we might have still had a separation between defense and offensive heroes, and he was put into the offensive heroes, which is why they were still making more, because they're making 2 damage heroes for every 1 tank and 1 support. And they then were like, this is stupid, and then they combined the 2. And then they went to roll lock after that and said, this is stupid. And it's like, well, if we had kept it as damage and tank, we could, or damage and offense, defense and offense, we could have done something. But like, that's a whole nother discussion. I like what they did here. And impact target now causes a secondary larger cone area check to grab extra targets to potentially knock them back as well. And I believe this also increases based upon how much charge you get from your power block. So that's going to be interesting. So now power block is this new ability that enters a blocking stance to reduce incoming damage by 90%. And blocking at least 100 damage causes the gauntlet to become fully supercharged, which empowers the next rocket punch in the following ways. Now this is interesting because if you don't fully charge it, what happens? Does it just not count as a supercharge and counts as a normal punch? Because if so, that's a pretty interesting way to kind of balance it, because it acts like a Zarya bubble, but not really, where you have to fully charge the punch to get the super punch. But if you do that, you increase your damage by 50%, so that means max damage is 70 plus 35, so you can maximum do 105 damage, which is pretty good. Travels 50% faster and farther. That's pretty good. And the area of effect blast that knocks additional targets is twice as large. Targets impacting a wall will be stunned for an additional 0.5 to 1 seconds, depending on the charge amount. So you now give him an actual stun. Also, they made it his ability 2, which is, I don't know why. They should have made it ability 1. But it's not here there. Basically, what that means is that this is his new E, and Seismic Slam becomes his shift, which everyone I've heard is basically like, that's stupid. But it's not going to be stupid for new players who aren't used to, slamming with E. That's just a fact. If you've done any amount of Doomfist parkour, you're going to want to change these two. But aside from that, maybe you want to learn Doomfist now. Go for it and just use it as is, I guess, if you want to. Seismic Slam moved from ability 2 to ability 1, which is why it's weird. Now launches Doomfist in the air and in the direction the player is aiming, creates a wide arc shockwave upon landing, dealing 50 damage and slowing enemy movement by 30%. So they're giving slows more to the tanks, which is interesting. I don't know. I mean, it is still a soft CC, so I guess I can kind of see it, but I would be... I'm okay with them and supports having CC as long as damage who are meant to have a high mobility, need to if my brain is of DPS is I need to avoid the traps and get to the supports and get them quickly so they don't heal themselves up. Like, that would be the entire way of playing in a 5v5 is the best way I can think about it, which might make, if there's enough. What I would like more of is the Warframe walls that pop up when you get near them, right? So like what they are is like they're this paint. What they are is this if this is top and this is the side, right? They look like this. And more perfect than that. They look kind of like this, but from the side, they look like, well, why can't I move that? What the fuck? Sort of like this. If there's a person who's, you know, here. If you got a dude here, right? You can do this, but it pops up if they get close. Otherwise, it's just so if they let's say are here, right? It's just on the ground. It's nothing, right? But when you get close to it, the little wall pops up. Let me cover this up so it makes it a little bit easier to see. So as you walk closer to it, it pops up out of the ground, and depending upon which side you stand on, it depends upon which side pops up. That would be an interesting way to provide cover, because otherwise you're gonna have to have a lot of hard natural cover that appears out of nowhere, and or that is just kind of stationary, which allows you to kind of flank as Widow or get good angles as a Widowmaker and just pick heads off. The solution to that also could just be make Widow not be able to one-shot people. But hey, details, details, details. Anyway, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna turn on my lights. All right. So now, Doomfist lets you launch into the air, creates a wide arc shockwave upon landing, dealing 50 damage and slowing enemy movement by 30%. No longer has different behaviors between being activated in the air or on the ground. No longer pulls in enemies and can be cancelled by pressing the ability key again. My thoughts on this is freaking awesome. You know why? Consistency. He's no longer a buggy mess because there's no difference between E-ing on the ground and E-ing in the air. That by itself makes him so much more consistent. So this is gonna, I think this is gonna make him a lot more fun to play, because there's no like, oh, why didn't I do the right type of slam? I wanted to do a targeted slam, but instead he decided to just jump and hop into the air and then get stuck in a tree. Oh my god. This is gonna be more consistent with those types of physics. So we'll see. Also, no longer pulling in enemies. Great, because that sucked to play against. That was one of the things that sucked. And this adds a whole new tech to him, which is going to be pretty cool to watch. I've seen people do like mega slams, and I've seen people do like rollouts from spawn by launching themselves and canceling it and then punching through the air. Like, it's gonna be awesome to see the amount of charge cancel, tech cancel kind of stuff that will come out of these types of things. So now meteor strike damage range reduced from 15 to 200 down to 15 to 100. Okay, that's good. Can't one-shot people, which is pretty good. Impact to the center, uncharged radius unchanged from 300 damage. Okay, so you can still one-shot people. Never mind. Screw me again. Knockback is removed, which is kind of nice. Additionally, slows the movement of all enemies by 50% for 2 seconds. That's going to be hard to play against, I feel like, but I feel if it's just the tanks doing these kinds of things, it can't get oppressive. I think if we do the whole thing I was talking about, the slowing needs to be changed to like maybe some other health gain. Maybe he gets over shields for every person he hits again, but it doesn't slow them at all. I would be okay with that if tanks get over shields, because that's sort of part of their kit, their role now. But maybe it makes them too simple. I don't know. Cast time reduced from 1 second to half a second. That's okay. I don't like the fact that a 300 damage ability is now at a half second, but I mean, if they change the 300 damage down to like, I don't know, 200 or 150, I'd probably be okay with it. Base health armor for Diva. Diva has had her health increase from 300 to 450. Base armor reduced from 300 down to 200. So she has more health, but less armor. So she has a total of 650 health now, so instead of 600. But she has a lot less armor, and but the armor is a lot more effective. So I don't know how I feel about this, but I think that Tracer's gonna still do a lot to Diva now. I think Reaper's gonna do a lot to Diva. Primary fire penalty reduced from 50 to 40%, and weapon spread reduced, so she's now more accurate, but she moves faster when she's primary firing, which is okay because she can still use her movement ability, which is how most Divas, I feel like, play anyway. So yeah, I think that's going to be a good change. She's still going to be weak in some areas, but it's now going to come down to how teams counter, because I think Diva will be strong against a lot of compositions that require high mobility. Like, if there is a Tracer that's coming after you, Diva eating Pulse Bomb and Diva being able to kind of use her bomb to kind of zone people out and use her DM appropriately is going to make her oppressive. But I think a good Zarya will be the counter to a good Diva. So we'll see, though. Base armor for Orisa. Orisa's base armor is increased from 200 to 250, and the health's been increased from 200 to 250. So she's now a proper 500 HP tank, and no longer one of these 400 HP squishy ladies. Augmented Fusion Driver is her new primary weapon, and now rapidly fires 10 plasma projectiles per second. And they start out as large and shrink as they travel. Damage starts at 10.5 and scales down to 4 damage over 35 meters. And uses a heat mechanic instead of ammo. Firing this weapon increases heat and it cools down while not firing it. If the weapon overheats, a forced release of heat prevents the weapon from being fired for 3 seconds. Oh, excuse me. Okay. That'll be interesting to play. I think it's going to be pretty okay depending upon how fast it fires. I know 10 per second, but like I think it depends upon like, because this is all can headshot, so that means on headshot it does 21 damage, meaning 8 of these will kill a normal squishy. That'll do 208 damage, right? No, I'm dumb. I can't math. 2 times it was here. 9 headshots will... Okay, let's just do 10. 10 headshots will put you at 210 damage. Yeah. So 9 headshots will put you at that cusp of 199.5. Will that get rounded up and kill you? That's a question. Will 9 headshots kill a 200 HP target? I don't know. Energy Javelin's the new secondary fire. She throws a spear forward, impacting the first enemy in its path, dealing 80 damage. Holy crap. Stuns for fifth of a second, and knocks them back 6 meters. That's a huge distance. If the enemy collides with a wall while being knocked back, they take an additional 40 more damage, and are stunned for an additional 0.3 seconds? So that's a full half-second stun with 120 damage. Holy crap, they do a lot of damage as tanks now. I'm okay with it. If the damage of damage dealers is going to be on par with what they are now, I think I'm going to be okay with it. I think it's going to be fun and interesting to play. I think it's going to be frustrating to play supports, because now you've essentially got 3 DPS and 2 supports. So playing a non-mobile support's going to be abysmal to play, I think. You just get to constantly use natural cover and peek when you can and hope to God that you don't get noticed, and constantly just change your location. You can't just kind of obliviously heal certain people, because flankers who decide that they're just going to go in after you now are just going to have free reign over you if you're not aware enough. Fortify now slows Orisa's movement by 20% while active, but provides 125 extra health while active, and reduces heat generation from Orisa's weapon by 50% while active. I think, and duration is increased from 4 to 4.5 seconds. I think, I don't know what happened to the damage reduction. I don't know if that's still there or not, but I think this is more to encourage the playstyle of bunker down while firing, and you'll be able to fire more in that position. You're fortifying your position. So you can't run away as much, but you can survive a little bit more because you have an extra 125 HP that provides no ult generation, and allows you to fire more for 4.5 seconds. So, Javelin Spin, new ability 2. Orisa rapidly spins a spear for nearly 2 seconds, destroying incoming projectiles. Increase forward movement speed by 60%. That's a huge buff while active, and by 20% for 2 seconds after the spinning ends. So this is meant to be either a defensive use or an engaging use. I feel like you can use this in so many different ways. You can use it as a preemptive delete of abilities. So you can delete Graviton with it. You can delete Whale with it. You can delete incoming Pharaoh Barrages with it. You can delete, you can even use it to delete like Nade and Sleep if they're coming in after you. But on top of that, you can run away with it, or you can run into battle with it. And then afterwards, you can still move faster than DPS. And on top of that, rapidly knocks enemies in her path, dealing up to 90 damage and constantly knocking them back. So she can knock people into her team, knock people away, or knock people off ledges, or bully them in a corner like a Winston ult. So that'll be interesting. Terror Surge is her new ultimate ability. She pulls in nearby enemies and becomes fortified, charging up an AoE attack over 4 seconds. Releasing the charge deals up to 225 damage based on how long it was channeled, so nearly one-shotting everybody. A fully charged one will one-shot a Cassidy. That's pretty huge. While charging, you deal minor damage over time and slows nearby enemy movement speed by 30%. What does minor damage mean? You have numbers everywhere else, but you can call this minor damage? What is that, 1? 5? Like, because if it's more than 25, you can one-shot a Reaper. If he stands in it and doesn't wraith out of it. You can one-shot a Mei. If it's 75, you can one-shot a Bastion. Like, I feel like that minor is maybe pretty major. Anyway, Reinhardt. Base armor increased from 200 to 300, and base health increased from 300 to 350. So no longer 500 HP tank, he's a beefy boy at a whopping 650 health, with over half of that being armor. And with how strong armor is, or I guess more burst damage resistant armor is, that's gonna be huge. Steadfast has been removed because it's just the tank passive now. Okay, that's fine. Health reduced on this barrier down to 1200. It's more gonna be for personal survivability than team reduction, I feel like. You're no longer gonna want to stand behind it as soldier to fire down into the enemy lines, or as Cassidy or Hanzo or something. Instead, it's gonna be more to like push around a corner or push into the team as the higher levels people I feel like do anyway. Regeneration rate would reduce, so you have less of it and you get it less often. Understandable. Charge. Steering turn rate increased by 50% and can now be manually canceled. That's huge. Pin cancel is going to change a lot of baits. People are going to get cheeky with this. You're no longer going to be able to just hook him for free. You're not going to be able to sleep him for free. You're going to have to actually predict whether or not he's going to cancel his charge and aim accordingly. You have to, hear the charge noise and not just be like, all right, time to cook him. Like, you're going to have to actually think about it. On top of that, he can push people towards ledges and knock them off without killing himself. Pretty huge. Charge Pin will now do less damage, which is fine. He can't one-shot a Bastion anymore, oh well. But he can still one-shot up to a Cassidy. Cooldown down from 10 to 8, so he can use it more often. I'm okay with that. Heck, if it did a little less damage, I'd be okay with it being on like a 6-second cooldown, to be honest. High mobility. I like mobility in this game. Fire Strike now has 2 ability charges. Damage reduced from 100 down to 90. Okay, that's fair. You can't put out 400 damage through a Baptiste window anymore. Oh no. I'm so sad. You can't one-shot or two-shot people by throwing 2 Fire Strikes into a Graviton and killing everybody. Oh no. I'm so sad. Roadhog, base health increased from 600 to 700. Take a breather now increases from 300 to 350. And I'm assuming it still does damage reduction. I don't know if I like the changes to Roadhog. I think it's too little. I think he needs a damage reduction, but he should be able to hook people more often. But he should require more incoming damage from allies to follow up on his hook. Or maybe he implies like a slow effect after he's hooked somebody, but he does a lot less damage. Or he does, I don't know, a stun or something. I'm trying to think what would be a good way to combo with his hook that isn't just a, and now you're dead. Because I don't think a tank should be able to just be like, and now you're dead. You must die. Goodbye. That's just BS in my opinion. Then again, I see the same thing about Hanzo and Widow, so, and Doomfist, and they fixed Doomfist, so I think he's gonna need to be changed somehow. Base shield increase from 100 to 200. Accretion damage increase from 70 to 100. Experimental barrier regeneration reduced. So he does more damage with his rock. He has more HP. He's now a 500 HP hero. Interesting. And he still does a crap ton of damage, but other tanks have more damage, I think, now, comparatively to him. And he gets his shield less often, but I'd be okay with actually his shield having more HP, but we'll see. We'll see. Base armor increased on Winston from 150 to 200. So he's now, what was his HP before? 500. So now he's a 550 tank. Tesla cannon is new secondary fire, which allows him to hold to release a 30-meter range jolt of electricity that does up to 50 damage, but costs 20 ammo. All right, he can now poke. Winston's now a poking tank. There you go. Barrier projector health increased from 650 to 800. Duration reduced from 9 to 8 seconds, and cooldown reduced from 13 to 12. So he gets it more often, it has more HP, it's gonna be better than all the other placed type of barriers, and on top of that, what's not shown here is it now has a duration meter, so you can see how long it lasts. I saw that in somebody's stream once, and I think that's a unique and awesome change that needs to get looked at more often and needs more praise. And Primal Rage now ult costs increased by 10%. I find that interesting considering he's going to get a lot less ult charge in general, I feel like. Although I don't know about that only because he normally goes for squishies anyway, right? But he likes to get that cleave off. But he's going to have one less person to cleave, and I think that's going to hurt him pretty badly. Wrecking Ball. Base armor increased from 100 to 150, and health increased from 500 to 550. So another 100 HP increase with an additional 50 armor, which is going to be huge for him. Almost all of his HP, still armor. Makes sense. Adaptive Shield's radius has been increased from 8 to 10 meters, and health gain per target goes from 75 to 100. Holy crap. So you hit 5 people, that's additional 500 HP, plus the 100 you get normally, so 600 HP, on top of his already 700 HP. So he gets 1300 HP again, if he gets all 5 people. It'll be harder to do, yeah, but damn, he has so much HP. Why does he have the most amount of HP out of all the tanks? I don't know. Zarya, base health increased from 200 to 250, and shields increased from 200 to 225. That's awkward to me. Why does she have 475 health and not 500? Or 450? Like, that's an awkward number to me. Particle barrier now has a 10-second cooldown on a shared 2-charge system with projectile barrier. Cooldown now begins immediately on ability use instead of when the barrier has expired. Barrier's duration increased from 2 to 2.5 seconds. That's pretty big, actually. You can do a lot. If they don't want to charge the Zarya, and you get that 2.5 seconds for free, that's going to do a lot. Also, I think the health is larger. Is that what it said? No. Projectile barrier now has a 10-second cooldown on a shared 2-charge system. Immediately on use. Energy degeneration increased from 1.8 to 2.2 seconds. So I guess the health of the barrier is the same as it used to be, which is 200 HP. Okay. Alright, I feel like that's going to be interesting. I've heard a lot of people say that she's really strong, and I believe it just because if your team is dying, as a tank, you can still keep yourself up, then you'll kill everything, especially as a high damage tank like Zarya. So, it'll be interesting. Ashe, Bob is now not as tanky, and that's the only change she has. I think that's interesting. I definitely agree that she didn't really need any real changes, and everybody else did need changes, but it'll be interesting to see, like, an oppressive Ashe can be really oppressive, and I'll see how she gets tuned in the future. Self-repair on Bastion has been removed and replaced with a tactical grenade, the A36TG. Configuration Tank, which is his ultimate, has been removed and replaced with Configuration Artillery. An Ironclad passive has been just removed altogether. So now he has no more damage reduction. Always been kind of silly. The only reason why he had it was to tank a Tracer Bomb. So I can see why they removed it. Configuration Recon. Weapon damage increased from 20 to 25. Fire rate reduced from 8 to 5 shots per second. Weapon spread has been removed, which is huge. And ammo reduced from 35 down to 25. So he just has... It does 25 damage per bullet? Holy crap, that's a lot. On headshot, he literally chunks a quarter of a squishy's HP away. And he has 25 of those. With no spread. But he can only shoot 5 shots per second. So if he lands in less than a second, no way. That's not 5 per second. There's no way. Because if that's the case, in less than a second, in 0.8 seconds is it? He can destroy a full HP squishy by hitting 4 headshots in a row. That's interesting. Configuration Assault. Renamed to Configuration Sentry. Oh my god, hold on. Oh. Bastion is now able to move in this form at 35% reduced movement speed. And now has a 6-second duration and a 12-second cooldown. And with infinite ammo for its duration. And weapon spread is now a constant 2 degrees and no longer becomes more accurate as you fire. But the damage has been reduced from 15 down to 12. So it'll be interesting to see how well this does compared to the alpha footage, because I think the damage reduction is new, but I don't know. This ability, the A36TG replaces self for player, but is bound to alternate fire instead of E by default. And it's a secondary fire and launches a grenade that can bounce off walls but sticks to players or the ground. It explodes after a short delay, dealing up to 130 damage. Holy crap. It's a mini freaking Junkrat nade. Configuration Artillery. Targeting works similarly to Doomfist Meteor Strike, but you can click 3 times to launch projectiles. Fires up to 3 long-range artillery shells. These shells deal high damage in a large area. High damage? What do you mean by high damage? What numbers, please? But the damage fall off is significant, so you have to hit them directly, is what they're saying. They're getting too cheeky with, like, placement and getting, like, chip damage where you hit 3 in, like, halfway between the middle and the end. So I'm assuming that now it's going to have to be much closer to the middle to actually deal a crap ton of damage. They come straight down from the air target locations, but they are projectiles in every other sense of, and can be blocked or destroyed by the abilities. So you can deflect these, you can block these with shields. So if you're a Sigma, you can just throw your barrier upwards and block all of the ones that are incoming that'll hit it. That's interesting. Or you can eat them with DM. So Diva's going to become much stronger, Sigma's going to become much stronger, Orissa's going to become much stronger because you can delete the ultimate by simply... Well, I don't know about Orisa because she can't look upwards with her spin, can she? I don't know. We'll see. That'll be interesting interactions. Cassidy, Flashbang removed but replaced with Magnetic Grenade. Okay. Peacekeeper's secondary fire and now Fan the Hammer. Fire rate increased by around 7.5. Like, now we're starting to get into like... it's 7.5-ish. I don't really like that, but it's probably something like stupid, like it was increased by 7.487946, but that's the number it was needed to give it to a nice even round. I don't know, fire rate of 0.3 instead of 0.35 or something like that, you know? So I get it why they say around, but like that's gonna throw red flags to some people, I think. Magnetic Grenade throws a grenade that can stick to enemies. Automatically homes in on an enemy close to the reticle when thrown within a 10-meter radius of the target, and can chase up to 13 meters. Deals 131 damage split between 1 impact damage, 65 explosion damage, and an additional 65 damage to the stuck target at the time of detonation. What? So basically, if you can stick the nade, they're dead. There's 131 plus 65 base damage, I think he does. Or does he do 70? If he does 70, they're just dead. So if you do a 70 body shot with a 131 explosion damage, they're boom, dead. I don't know if I like that. I don't think I like that. I think if they had reduced it to 121 and then the body shot of 70, that'd be fine. Or if they reduced his primary damage down to 65. If it is 65 now, then I'm fine with it. I just don't want the breakpoint to be over 200 where you can body shot someone as the nade explodes and then you just delete them. That to me would be annoying to play against. As annoying as a Doomfist coming out of nowhere and punching and uppercutting. Although I still think Doomfist would be more annoying because you still have to land the skill shot on Kree and be close enough and in LOS to where he doesn't just like sticky you around a wall or something. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting and more fair than what we've played against thus far, but it's gonna probably lead to some frustrations. Any damage dealing homing weapon or damage dealing auto aiming weapon is always annoying to play against, especially in the lower tier you go. Deadeye now grants 40% damage reduction while charging it. That's huge. That's actually really huge. That's really huge for Deadeye. You can't be one shot by Widow or Hanzo anymore, I don't think. With 225 HP, 300 times 40. What's the maths? Quick maths. You get 120 times 2.5 times by 6.6. 180. Yeah. You can't be one-shot headshot by Widowmaker anymore. Likewise, yeah, you'll have to hit 2 headshots as Hanzo to kill him now. And damage now builds at 130 damage per second for the first 2 seconds, and then 120 damage per second for the remaining duration. Maximum duration now increased from 6 to 7 seconds, and it costs more. Deadeye is actually going to be kind of low-key, deadly. Like, there's less barriers, less things to eat it, less CC to get him out of it, and, like, Orisa is going to be huge against him. Not only can she delete the projectiles, she can stun him out of it. Orisa is going to be one of the king tanks, I think, simply because not only can she stun enemies out of their ultimates, which not many other tanks can do, not at range at least. I don't think anyone can at range besides Orisa. Not only can she do that, but she can delete the ultimate if she Fs up. I think Javelin's going to become the new game changer of this Overwatch 2. It's going to be the defining era of Overwatch 2 beta. I honestly think that. If Overwatch League plays with this, Javelin is going to make the difference between winning games and losing games. Especially if you can't, like, delete it. So, that's something I want to know is Javelin interaction between Sigma, Suck, and D.Va, DM, and even, like, Orisa Spin. Like, are they different? Are they all technically a DM? Are they all technically a projectile eater? Because, like, or does Javelin act like a rock? Because a rock can't be deleted even though it's a projectile, which makes no sense. I think that should be a change that it should make for consistency. That rock can be deleted by DM and by DM-like abilities. So Suck can delete rock. And I think that would give more power to Roadhog as the only person who can cancel Suck, DM, and like Roadhog and Zarya will be good against people who can do things like that. Like Orisa, right? If she spins, I think Roadhog, for consistency's sake, should be able to hook her out of it. I think that would be dumb in terms of how it looks and how it plays, but I think for consistency's sake, the hook should be able to cancel DM-like abilities or go through DM-like abilities, because Hook can go through D.Va's DM, Hook can go through Sigma Suck, which it didn't used to be able to, but for consistency, they made him do that. I think it should go through Orisa Spin. Just for the sake of consistency. Anyway, that was a whole side tangent. Echo. Focusing being maximum damage reduced from 200 to 175. Not enough damage reduction on that, but thank God. Oh my God, 200 damage per second when you're at less than half HP has been an abysmal thing to fight ever since it was launched. I would even say, you know, if it was at 100, it would be fine. Because you would want to encourage the playstyle which uses beam on not tanks. So why would you make it so that, oh yeah, you have 200 HP heroes? Let me just use beam real quick to delete them in 0.5 seconds. What? What? That's just stupid. Duplicate. Echo copies the target's combined health value, including health, armor, and shields, up to 300 health. Duplicating Tracer will have 150, Reinhardt will have 300. The question I have on this is it percentage based? Or is it like first come, first serve in terms of what health gets copied? So if you copy a Reinhardt, do you get 150 and I guess 50 HP and 150 or 145 HP, 155 armor? Or do you get 300 HP because the first 300 HP of Reinhardt is HP? Like, how does that interact? Is it percentage based, or is it up to the first 300? Because then I'm gonna copy a Wrecking Ball and I'll get 100 HP and 200 armor. Or I copy a Reinhardt and I just get 300 HP. Like, there's gonna be wins and losses there that, like, you're gonna want to copy specific tanks. Hanzo, Storm Arrow, damage reduction from 70 to 65. Thank God. That did way too much damage. It still does. I still think that it should have a property that does more damage to, like, barriers or something, and then it would be fine. And it can't hedge. If it couldn't headshot and it could, if it couldn't headshot and was able to deal more damage to, like, a barrier or something along those lines, I think it would be a lot better. Junkrat, Steel Trap, no longer prevents all movement, and now slows target by 65% until they reach max chain length, and then it breaks. Just straight up breaks. Okay. Still prevents movement abilities from being activated, so you can't just be Trace or Recall out of it, or Blink out of it. But you can walk out of it now as Tracer to avoid the mines. Damage increased from 80 to 100. Okay, alright. And projectile speed increased from 10 to 17. I think I like those changes, but it's, you know, inconsequential for the majority of gameplay. But I think it'll make him more viable at lower ranks and not as annoying to play against. Because in a sense, if he has his mine near you, like, it's just the same thing Roadhog guys are like, all right, well, I'm dead. Now it's sort of like, no, I can get out of this, and then you might live. So, interesting. Mei, an endothermic blaster. You can no longer stun people, but immediately slows targets by a constant 50% instead of building up over time. I don't know how I like about having another deep... Like, if you have Mei Sim, like, you have an immediate 50% slow, plus the Sim turret slow. Ugh. Throwing up just thinking about it. Slow duration reduced from 1 to half a second. Damage per second increased from 55 to 100. And ammo increased from 120 to 150. So she can right-click more often. She can burn people alive with her blaster. And she can prevent tanks from leaving. So Doomfist comes in, you just pick Mei, Sombra, and Doomfist is going to have a bad time. Cryo Freeze no longer removes Sigma Gravitic Flux effect. Okay, that's good in my opinion, but the question is, does it block damage? So technically you take no damage in it, right? So you may be lifted into the air as an ice block, but when you slam down and you're inside a cryo, are you not gonna take damage? I mean, that's a fair trade-off in my mind. I don't know. I think I like that. Ice Wall. Pillar health reduced from 400 to 250. Okay, so basically it's more or less useless now in my mind. But the range reduced from 35 to 200. So it's more... It's just worse. Okay. Maybe they thought it was OP in their dev tests. I don't know. Blizzard. Ultimate cost increased by 15%. I can see how Wall could get annoying in a lot of cases in 5v5. I don't know how annoying. I'd have to test it out and play a lot of games, but yeah, I guess I can kind of see where they're coming from and why they made those changes. Reaper, Hellfire Shotguns, damage, okay, they reduced from 6 to 5.4, and they increased his spread, so he's not going to be that hard of a counter to tanks as he is now, because with the armor changes, he's the one who's going to benefit the most. Shotguns, so him and Roadhog benefit the most against armor. So I can see why they're gonna have to nerf him, but he still has his life steal and everything else. I think he's gonna burn through Bob quicker. He's gonna have his counters that he can counter against people. New hero Sojourn. Railgun, rapidly fire projectiles that generate energy on hit. Railgun alt fire is a high impact shot that consumes stored energy. Disruptor shot launches an energy burst that snares and deals damage to enemies within it. Ground slide that can cancel into a high jump for power slide. And overclock, her ultimate ability, which is a railgun energy auto charges for a short duration and shots pierce through enemies. I think she's a well balanced hero in terms of how she is now. I think there's some people have pointed out that because her primary fire is a non-hit scan weapon, she's essentially Apex the hero, where you get to slide like you're running Mach 7. You get to do a super jump, and you have a primary fire that does damage, but it has travel time. But it's not a lot of travel time. It's nearly hit scan from what I've heard, but it's enough to where like a Pharah is going to be hard. It's like trying to hit Pharah as Orisa. That's what I've seen anyway, and that's my opinion thus far, having not played her. The only difference is that if you're able to charge up off of a barrier, your railgun, because you do charge energy as far as I'm, maybe not because it's not listed here, but in the alpha, you could charge your primary fire off of like a Winston bubble or Zarya bubble or Reinhardt shield. And then if the Pharah comes around the corner, you just right click her. She's still not as consistent against her as like a Soldier 76. So if they have a Pharah, you'd want to play Soldier over Sojourn. But if they don't have a Pharah, Sojourn can deal a lot of poke damage just like Soldier can, and can have a better ultimate in terms of the piercing of barriers and one-shot potential that Soldier just does not bring to the table. But I think that if you bring like a Pharah or an Echo, or bring in a Doomfist or something like that, or even a Genji, I think she's gonna suffer quite a bit from those heroes. Even hard to hit heroes like Tracer. Basically, if you can hit your right clicks, you'll be fine as her. I don't know if I like the fact that they use the word snares, or the fact that they use literally 0 numbers in any of these. All I know from alpha gameplay footage is that she charges 5% of her right click per bullet. So, but it's only bullets that land that give her that charge. So, it shall be interesting. Sombra, another big change. Machine pistol, damage reduced from 8 to 7 and spread reduced by 10%. So she does less damage, but also more damage. I think that's why they made it more consistent, but more consistently less damage. But then her hack, the cooldown's been reduced from 8 to 4 seconds, and no longer reduced when hacking health packs. Okay, cast time increased from 0.65 to 0.85. Health pack hack duration reduced from 60 to 30. Okay, so the health packs aren't going to be hacked for nearly as long. Ability lock duration reduced from 5 down to 1. Reveals hacked enemy through walls to Sombra's team for 8 seconds. Interrupting hack during the channel now incurs the full cooldown. Oh, that's huge, actually. Hold on 1 second. What happened here? Something just happened. Hold on one. Stand by. Something live happening right now. Alright. That's interesting. Sorry about that. Where was I? Yes. So she no longer can... her gameplay style isn't going to be hacking every single health pack. That's just not what she does anymore. She's going to be definitely more of an assassin type now that they've changed exactly how her hack works. But she can hack so much more frequently. But I think if you're going to try to reveal someone through walls, you're not going to want to hack them. You're going to want to ping them. So you're not going to have the playstyle of going into the back line and hacking somebody to get dove on. Instead, you're going to have the playstyle of pinging somebody who you want to die or get dived. They're going to dive that target, and while they're distracted with that, you get your hack off and kill the squishy and split the healing and the focus. So let's say that they have an Ana Lucio, right? You can ping, and they have like I don't know, a ball or a Zarya, right? You ping the Zarya. Zarya goes up. They dive the Zarya. Lucio peels for the Zarya, I guess. And then, or Lucio tries to like help the Zarya out. But then you go and you hack the Ana, forcing the Lucio to choose to either help heal and speed out the Zarya, or go help the Ana, which he should go help the Ana. And as long as you can live for long enough, you do 40% more damage to her. And, or not 40%, actually, does he do any more damage to her now that they're hacked? Oh yeah, Opportunist. Damage dealt to hacked targets is now increased by 40%. So you'll be able to burn her a lot quicker, forcing the Lucio to take action against you quicker. Which now, the Zarya isn't, you know, getting healed because the Ana is dying to you, and either she dies to you and heals the Zarya up, or she has to survive, which is now more tanky, so she should be able to survive. And you have to take on the Ana and the Lucio together. But now you're forcing both supports to look at you, which now frees up your DPS to go in on the Zarya. And now, you know, your supports have to face their DPS more or less by themselves, or maybe with one of your DPS, which should give you the upper hand advantage. So it'll be an interesting playstyle. Interrupting hack does the full cooldown. That's pretty big now. Stun duration on Bob reduced from 5 to 2 seconds. So you still stun Bob, just not for 5 whole seconds. It's now for 2 hacked seconds. And you destroy Baptiste Immortality Field when it's hacked. Okay. So now you go invis, you force Lamp, and you destroy Lamp immediately. Okay. Stealth. Fade in time reduced by 50%, so you go into stealth faster. But you get detected a whole 2 meters in radius bigger. That means that you're much easier to be detected. Can now use hack during stealth without ending the stealth ability, but revealed to enemies while hacking for 3/4 of a second after hacking. Okay. Damage dealt to hack targets increased. We already covered that. In addition to hacking them, you now also deal 40% of the current... EMP. In addition to hacking them, which gives you a 40% increase to their damage, you also deal 40% of their current health as damage to the enemy. That means you can't kill them with the EMP, but you can get them much, much lower than they already are. No longer deals additional damage to base shields health pools. EMP still deals massive damage to barriers. So it doesn't delete Zen's shields anymore. It doesn't delete Zarya's shields anymore. But the question here is, what does it do to overhealth? Does it not touch health at all? And overhealth at all? Does it not delete beat anymore? Does it not delete Ball's adaptive shields? All questions I'd like to know. Tracer, pulse damage reduced from 6 to 5. That's going to be huge. That whole armor thing I was talking about, this probably reduces a lot of the benefit she gets from the armor change. Widowmaker, base health increase from 175 to 200. Okay. If they're going to go down this route, though, I'm highly against going down this route, in my opinion. I like the 175 health. I just think that other heroes also need it, like Echo, like even Genji, really. Genji, Echo, Pharah. People make them easier to kind of die as DPS heroes that have decent mobility. The reason why they did it to her, though, is because it's either you give her more mobility, which gets her into weirder spots, which gets her to kill more people, or you give her back her HP. So I think they're just going for the slow her down option, where she can survive more and take better duels against duelists and live more likely, than give her the ability to kill more people and speed up the game. She's not supposed to be a fast mobility based hero anyway, so like no need to do that. Ana, now we're getting the supports. Ana, sleep dart, cooldown increase from 12 to 15 seconds. I think that's gonna be huge in terms of what it means for the game. I think Ana is gonna become not that very fun to play, but she's gonna become more of a duelist, and she's gonna have to choose. She can't go for offensive sleeps basically at all anymore. Her nade needs to be saved for herself, or she needs to have a lot better positioning to take poke and then heal it up. The question now is, does support passives count toward their own ult charge, or is it just free ult charge for the DPS? And what I mean by that is, when you get healed by the payload, nobody gets that ult charge, right? You get healed by the payload. But if whoever dealt damage to you still gets ult charge. So they essentially got free ult charge off of you. But if your specific role passively heals you, does it do the same? Is it counted like is it counted like payload healing or what? Interesting question in of itself. Baptiste. Primary fire minimum fall off range reduced from 25 to 20. That means it's worse, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Regenerative burst total healing increased from 75 to 100. So he falls off faster now, so he does less damage, but he can heal himself and his allies more. Okay. Brigitte. Shield bash no longer stuns enemies. Okay, cooldown reduced, so you can bash people more often, but you don't stun them. You can travel further with it too, so it's you have a higher mobility. Okay, I'm liking those changes thus far. No longer stopped when impacting barriers. Okay, so more often, doesn't stun, goes farther. Cool. Increase to 50 damage. Inspire is now also triggered by it. Oh, I like that change. I don't know about 50. 30 maybe? 35 to keep consistent with melee, but whole 50? You can like one shot combo now a tracer if you catch her unaware, because you can left click cancel with bash and whip shot her, and whip shot does what, 70 damage? So 70, 50, 120 plus the damage of your mace, you can one shot a tracer more or less. I don't know about that, but sure, we'll go for it. Lucio, sound barrier, ultimate cost reduced by 12%, so you get it more often. Okay. Alright, sure. Mercy, regeneration. Now increase support passive to 50%. Increase the support passive healing by 50%. So if we go all the way back up here to the support passive, 15 healing per second after 1 second of being damage. Increased by 50% puts her up to 22 healing per second. So she's the one who gets like, in like 10 seconds, she gets full HP back. In 9 seconds, I think she's at like 198 or something. Yeah, she's at 202.5 in 9 seconds. Kind of insane. Not gonna lie, kind of insane. Okay, well, that's kind of nuts. That's kind of nuts. That's all the changes for the beta. So, I don't know what else to kind of say besides that. I think that kind of explains it for itself. I think now my kind of feedback from what I've been seeing is it's gonna be a DPS game, and I think that's okay. Honestly, I do. I just think that supports need to be in on the DPS game. I think that would be the only way to really balance it. Unfortunately, I did not get a key. I also have some things that I need to do tomorrow early in the morning, so I think I'm actually gonna call it here. This was a kind of a good, just like educational rant video, less streaming, more or less, you know, gameplay, more just playing or reading up on what's going to be. So I don't know. I could probably fit in one game before the end, but I also don't want to just lose SR. I do want to text something. Test. Let me join team chat and check out my voice. Hello, 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 hello. Test. Test. See, it's not picking me up. Test. Test. Let me go to soldier specifically. Is it just a soldier thing? Did I accidentally rebind my push to talk? No, it's still. Test, 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 test. Why? Kinda wanna figure this out. Sound, voice chat, push to talk. Let's go open mic. Test. Test. Hello. Let me check my voice meter and see what's going on. It's still picking it up. For some reason, Overwatch isn't picking up my microphone at all. Okay, that should be right. Let's try this. Hello? Hello? Anybody there? Hello? Hello? I don't know why it's not picking it up. Unless... Test. Huh. Trying to think, why would it not? Yes. Hello. Nope. Oh, you guys can't hear anything. Oh, probably sounds really weird for you guys. Test. I don't know. I'm gonna try to just change something real quick. Options, sound. Test. I don't know why it's not doing it. You guys can hear me just fine. But it's just Overwatch isn't picking up my voice anymore. Why not? Huh. Well, I'm gonna try to figure this out, and it's gonna require me to, like, leave, come back, I think. So, in the meantime, I might break some things. Let's see here. Will this change it? Hello? No. Default devices. If I go to open mic. Nope. I don't know, fam. If I go to options and choose something in controls. Toggle crouch. M. Remove that. Okay, well, let me see here. Toggle mute. Put it back onto M. Okay. So things are now changed slightly. Oh. Huh. I don't know why that would be. Output is... I think that's correct. The input should be... Huh. Okay, let me see here. Is that where that's going? That's the question. I don't know. We're gonna go ahead and kind of check that out a little bit later. I do see someone news here, so I do apologize, but right now I just went over all of the beta stuff. You'll be able to kind of check that out in the video on YouTube. I'm not going to edit it or anything. It's just going to kind of be an archive video of day 49. I didn't actually get to any Overwatch today, which is a little bit of a shame, but there was a lot more changes than I had expected. So I think that it's going to be a decent video and informational on the Overwatch 2 beta. I didn't get a drop today. I plan to watch tomorrow to get a beta drop and play Overwatch 2 for the rest of this week. More on that tomorrow, I suppose. So thank you all so much for joining me on this grand adventure. And until next time, remember, stay safe and don't get lost in the abyss.